Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Wayne Morris with WHHI TV.
And I'm your host, Carrie Manning from the Village Spa.
And today we're coming to you from the Spring Island River House. It's going to be an all Spring Island panel. Our first guest is Peter Drake. He is a member here on Spring Island, and he's been here for about 8 years.
And then our next guest is Mr. Troy Shaver. He is also a member here on Spring Island, and he was one of the first.
And our final guest is John Strother. He's the broker in charge here, and he's going to give us 2 real estate features that are fantastic. It's going to be a great show. Stay with us, 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.
.843 TV, where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Port Royal comes to speak.
.843 TV,
where communities come to speak.
Welcome to 843 TV. We're here this morning with Mr. Peter Drake. He's a member here at Spring Island. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Well, thank you for being with us. Let's start with telling everybody a little bit about how did you hear about Spring Island?
My career was a career in education, and I was an administrator and a teacher for my full time. I retired in 2011. About 10 years ago, I was heading a school in Boston. And it was a boarding school, K through 9, and we had kids from all over the world, and I was in Bermuda at one juncture, and we were having a reception for our families, for our alumni, and for our parents. And lo and behold, I met an alumnus who asked what I was up to, and I asked what he was up to, and the conversation got to his plans for retirement, and he had mentioned he had bought a house at Spring Island. And I hadn't heard of Spring Island, and I thought, wow, why would somebody from Bermuda ever buy a house at Spring Island,
where
the climate is so close to Bermuda's climate, really, in terms of the seasons. And I thought maybe he'd be thinking New England or something like that. And we were down in Hilton Head about a year later, and we thought, let's take a little spin over there, and we came over here and we were hooked.
I can see why.
Dated.
What hooked you? I mean, what did y'all like about
We liked the culture of the place, first and foremost. We drove in here, and it was more low-key than a lot of places. The houses were they were understated. The houses were lovely, but understated. We saw immediately that there was a sense of community here. We love the idea of even having the mail room, the way it's set up, where everybody comes together, picks up the mail at the same place, where people will get to know one another. We saw it was more than a golf community. And the people we met were obviously so passionate about the place that it just was such a natural feel for us. It wasn't hard to fall in love with it, I can tell you that.
That's not a hard thing to do, for sure.
Peter, did you buy a home on your first visit?
Our first visit, we didn't buy a home, but we bought a lot. We always had looked, and wherever we had gone, we looked in the Southwest, we had looked in Florida, thinking about when the time comes. And we were so enamored with it from this visit that we got on the plane on the way home, and we had seen a number of lots, and it was a lot that sort of caught our eye that we particularly liked, and we looked at each other and we were both in agreement. We said, this is what we want to do. So we bought the lot with the idea that we would build later.
So you've been here about 8 years, you were telling us earlier, and your plans have been evolving over time to where you are today. So kind of walk us through that evolution of your time here and how you spent it with properties that you've owned.
Okay, it's quite convoluted, as a matter of fact. Initially, we had the lot. We actually contracted to work with an architect who was terrific. Was interestingly enough the same architect that the Bermudian had suggested, and we had plans drawn up for a main house and a guest house. And the more we thought about it, I was sort of approaching the time of retirement. We thought it would be really nice to see whether this is where we really wanted to be. We thought we'd like to overlook the main house construction, so we built a guest house. And with that guest house, we fell in love with the guest house. So 2 years later, we actually added to the guest house and really added mostly storage because we didn't have the room that we needed, a garage, a master bedroom suite. And then ultimately, we've looked at Spring Island as being the place we want to be year-round, so we're selling our place up north, and we've decided we want to get something still larger. So we actually have bought another home here on Spring Island, and we sold the cottage, which we loved.
Yeah, that's a cool little evolution. You know, you kind of dipped your toe in the water and made sure it's what you wanted, and then gradually took the steps to where you are now.
It felt really, really good to us. The whole procedure was ideal in our mind. It worked nicely.
I think it's neat that Peter Brower designed the cottage, right? And then
He sure did.
Then you bought a house that he designed also.
And we're doing some renovations to that right now. We're in boxes right now and living in the guest house, and he's doing the oversight of our redesign. He's an outstanding architect, so we really like. He's great working with small spaces and any space. He's got a good eye.
Well, I know that we had more response to your cottage when we put that on our website than any other house that we've actually put on there. It was, you know, it was just choose a button and perfect. Yeah.
Good design goes a long way.
It does. Yeah, it really does. And,
Well, other than all of your building projects since you've been here, obviously, I think anybody that's ever built knows that that's taxing and that keeps you busy. But what else do you guys do to stay busy now that you're retired here on the island?
Well, we've always loved golf, and Nancy and I probably get on the golf course probably an average of 5 times a week, and we'll play either 9 holes or 18, usually 9 holes. And what's really nice about the golf is that you can go out without making it a tee time well in advance.
Right.
And we're not people who like to sort of plan your week and say, on Tuesday afternoon I'm going to get a tee time at 2. We call up that morning, and invariably there's a slot which fits well for us. So the golf is important. I've actually picked up tennis, where I love tennis as a younger person. I'd given up the game for many years, and Nancy had too. And we've gotten sort of reacclimated with tennis, and it's a great tennis program here. Larry Angus, the pro, is outstanding. So that really works well, and it's great for people of all levels, and there's a good community spirit to the tennis program. And another thing I got into was boating. I grew up in Maine on the coast, and we had our access to the water. My dad had a boat, and we did cruising and one thing or another, and I had been away from it, and I had an opportunity to buy a little whaler here, and have actually upgraded my whaler now, so I have something as a 21-footer, and we go to Beaufort, and we go to even as far as Defusky Island, and it's just great to be able to get out in the marsh and do a trip around the island, or a trip out to dinner at Beaufort.
I don't think you get the full effect of the area until you get out on the water.
It's unbelievable, and Spring Island itself does such a good job of making the boating work because it's incredibly reasonable. You can get dock space here at a very reasonable rate. My friends up north are just absolutely wowed when I tell them how much we pay monthly to have our boat here. It's terrific. So
That's great.
It's a real pleasure.
Well, it's a beautiful place. I've been hooked since I came here the first time. Well, we've run out of time, so thank you for being with us, and make sure that you come right back for more 843 TV.
You're 3 weeks.
Welcome back to 843 TV. We now have the pleasure to be joined by Mr. Troy Shaver. How are you today, Troy?
I'm great, thank you.
Thank you for being here. So we were talking before we started shooting, and you've been here just about as long as anybody else. How did you first find out about Spring Island back in the 90s when you did?
I had a business colleague that moved to Kiowa, and it was a second home for him, and I was visiting him, and I said, boy, this is a beautiful place, this whole South Carolina coast. And he said, well, I have a place that you won't believe, just south of here. And he said, why don't we drive down? And we did. And we got here late at night. He said, you got to see this golf course. We walked out on the 17th green. There was not even a golf house at that time. Full moon on the marsh. The 17th is our signature hole. and it was the most spectacular thing I'd ever seen.
So you were sold right there.
I was sold just like that. So.
That's a great story.
How long had you been retired before you moved here?
Well, actually, I've never been retired. The longest I've retired, when I moved here permanently, I was retired. My wife gave me a retirement party on a Friday night. I started looking for office space on Monday. So I've been here fully since 2003. I commuted during 2003 from Boston to here. My wife was down here permanently. And in 2004 started the company, and I've been here permanently ever since.
So you work, and you're not retired, so you work here. A lot of people who live here are retired, but there are people as well who work full time.
Right. There's a few people that work full time. I think this is an ideal place to live and work. We don't work here on the island, but it's an ideal place, this whole environment. You can be outside every day of the year. You don't have to worry about putting an overcoat on or boots or anything of that nature. You can be active every single day of the year, and it makes a big difference in your work life as well. It's a great mental relief to be able to do anything you want to do.
That makes sense.
I know you were very successful in the Northeast in the financial industry. Is that the type of business that you have here?
Yes, I'm a money management firm. The colleague who introduced me here, he and I started it. He retired last year, and we will this summer have 25 people. And so we've become a fairly large money management firm, but it tells you something about Spring Island. When we started the firm, it was very difficult to find people. Today, we're interviewing for an analyst. In a space of under 3 weeks, we had 180 people that applied for the job.
Wow.
Really?
From all over the world.
Wow.
All over the world.
The word's out, and
the
everybody
word's
wants
out.
to come.
So that was a terrific thing. So.
Yeah. And so I know that you've been real active in the trust. Maryland's active in the Habitat Review Board. I mean, what attracted y'all here? And I mean, how do y'all stay so involved with your work and everything else?
Well, I grew up in the South, and when I grew up, it was it was not as populated as today. I grew up in Florida, pre-Disney, and so it was a great place to grow up. I had a great childhood. I learned to do a lot of outdoor things, including quail hunting, which we do here. And I introduced my wife to it. She's a New Englander, like Peter, and she fell in love with it. And so we love the fact that we have 2 nature preserves here. She takes our dogs for walks every day. We have 40 miles of trails. It's just a fantastic place. And so I was surprised at how fast that she fell in love with it, being a New Englander. And she actually liked the hot, humid summers. So.
Well, speaking of quail hunting, you're an avid bird hunter. Tell everybody a little bit about the hunting program and the groups that hunt out here.
Okay, we have a hunting club. Originally, we did our quail hunting here on the island, and raised our own quail. We had our own horses, our own mules, our own dogs. And in '96, as we started building homes, we thought it would be a good idea to not take the risk of having somebody shot. So we moved the hunting off and leased a plantation, and we've since joined a new plantation about 20 miles from here called Red Bluff Plantation. It's right on the May River. It's just gorgeous. Thousands and thousands of acres. We moved our mules out there. We have 2 horses out there. So we have over 100 people here on the island that regularly hunt there. It's an authentic southern hunt with dogs on your mule wagon. You can ride a horse. That's how we discovered our lot, by the way, on horseback.
Did you really?
So it was a very common thing to do because there's not many roads at that point in time. So
what about the sporting clays? You do that as well?
We did. The sporting clays, when we first opened the sporting clays course, we brought in an instructor who had won a silver medal in the Olympics in one of the rifle sports. And we went through it for a week, and we had about 8 or 10 of us that went through the instruction. I brought my youngest son, who now lives in Savannah, and he just fell in love with it. We go back to Boston, where we were living at the time, and we go to an Orvis sporting clays shooting event, and my youngest son wins it out of over.
He's a natural.
He was a natural over 100. That was just because of this course and the sporting clays here. So we have instruction here. We have wonderful sporting clays course. You can also shoot skeet if you wish. So it's a lot to do if you like gunnery.
Yeah. Well, thank you for visiting with us and sharing your experience here. You got a lot of history here, and thank you for taking the time to tell us about it.
My pleasure. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah. And stay with us. We'll be back with more 843 TV.
Welcome back to 843 TV. We're here now with Mr. John Strother, the broker in charge here out on Spring Island, and we are highlighting the fun part. Well, it's all fun, I guess. But what everybody really wants to know is the real estate portion of the show. So first we're going to talk about a home site on 239 Shrimp Pond Circle. Tell everybody a little bit about that.
Okie dokie. That's it's very close to where we are right now, from Walker Landing. We just sold the home site right next to it, and so the owner of this lot wanted to list it. And so it's a beautiful 2-acre home site. It's on the marsh. It has a lot of frontage on the marsh. It's 2 lots away from the shrimp pond, so you can go there and you can walk up and get flounders for supper or whatever. I mean, this place is teeming with fish. But it's got these beautiful oaks on the marsh side and some palmetto trees, so the views are just great. So you get that South Carolina feel and look. And the trees on there are hickory trees, so they lose their leaves in the winter. So you get that high filtered shade in the summer, you catch those summer breezes. And then in the wintertime, you lose the leaves, and so you're getting the nice sunsets and the sun and the warmth there from the sun. It's just a really fantastic home site.
I don't think there's a bad view from any place on this island.
There really isn't.
That's what happens when you do it, when you plan it correctly, like
correctly.
the developer did.
Yeah,
you know? That's the idea, I guess.
Yeah.
There's also a home feature we want to talk about, and that's at 14 Bee Tree Drive. What can you tell us about that?
Oh, that's a great house. It really has just a beautiful front. It's like a welcome home type front there. It's a newer house. That's an interesting story. Those people had a lot, built the house, and then bought this house. And we had a house with a deep water dock, an older house that came on the market. And he's always wanted a dock because he loves to boat. So much like Peter, he moved up. He bought the deep water house. They're renovating that right now. And so his house is for sale. And it's a three-bedroom home. It's on the golf course. Most of our homes on the golf course have real filtered views of the golf course, and they're looking across. This one is situated, it's unique in the way it's situated. It's looking all the way up a par 5. And it has a pretty clean shot all the way up. So it's bright, light, cheery. It has this big white open kitchen area. It's a cook's kitchen, it really is. And that leads off onto the screened-in porch with a TV over a fireplace, beautiful sitting area. And it has an open porch for the winter time because this is facing southeast, and you'll catch the sun in the winter, shade in the summer. And then it's all the living area is downstairs, so it's perfect for like people my age that come here and they want one-story living, and there's 2 guest rooms upstairs.
I don't want to go up the stairs.
How many beds and baths?
It's 3 bedrooms, 3.5, 4 baths. It's got a generator with it. It even has a clothes drying yard. They have this closed in so you can hang your clothes up.
Really?
And, so you get that nice fresh outdoor feeling. So
it's old school.
Nice thing. It is, yeah. Old school, there you go.
But we all know that there's a million amenities, and you can stay busy from daylight to dark out here, and there's always something going on. So tell everybody about what's going on the first week of July. Summer camp at Spring Island. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, this is a big tradition here, and it's really an amazing scenario. We have the week before the 4th of July, we have 3 days of nature camp. So the guys from the Trust, Tony and Chris, will take the kids out on the marshes, teach them about that. They'll do different things, catch fish or whatever. Next day they'll be in the woods, they'll be catching snakes or tagging alligators and different things like that. And then the third day they'll be doing something else. So we have 3 days of nature camp. Then we're going to have 3 days of sports camp. So there'll be different activities for the kids. And these are divided into age groups. So we've got kids doing all kinds of different things, running, hiking, swimming. I mean, the works, it's constant activity. So that's during that week. And then the following week, it's equestrian week. So in the mornings, the kids will be taught to ride. They'll have access to our 30-some miles of trails to ride on, and
that's such a great skill to learn too.
Definitely keep them busy,
isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is, and it really keeps them busy. It keeps the grandchildren coming here. It keeps the children really occupied during the summer.
And it creates memories.
Oh, it does.
And that's memories are what matter.
Well, it is.
And just a little credit to Tony. My youngest daughter came out here last week on a field trip, and she could not wait to come home and tell me all the fun things that she learned from Tony. She's like, "Mommy, he's so much fun." And she regurgitated every single thing he said. So it's not only fun for them, but it's educational. And I think it's really important for kids to understand and appreciate where we are.
Exactly, to be grounded, to understand how things interconnect
and
here.
why we need to take good care of it.
Yes, exactly, because, well, from here to Charleston is the Ace Basin. They've preserved 250,000 acres, It's just this is a great bastion of land conservation here. And so, we have the summer camp for kids, and I think like you were saying.
Yeah, tell us about the parade.
Oh, the parade is incredible. Well, it starts at
July
the stables.
4th parade.
Yes, the July the 4th parade. It starts at the stables, and people paint their horses up, all kinds of outlandish colors and everything. So you have these horses coming down, and maybe the grandchildren are on it, maybe the people that own the horses are. Golf carts, all decorated and strewn out. There's 3-4 generations here. Big lunch, big party on the river right here at Walker Landing. It's just a fun thing.
I've heard that's a must-see.
It is.
Several people have said that to us.
Yeah, it is. It's just incredible. And once again, it's a memory maker. That summer camp for kids, which Spring Island really is a summer camp for adults.
Yeah.
Like you said.
It's a constant camp.
Yeah, if you like summer
really
camp when you were little, you'll love it here.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, that's our tagline
now. Well, thanks again for being with us. We always look forward to this segment. So make sure that you check out their website and find out any information on the real estate that we just talked about. And make sure that you come back next time for more 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.